Hello and welcome to your 10 at 10. Today's June 11th, 2024. Today, I'm going to talk about how to get out, right? So let's say you're in a binding purchase agreement. A buyer and a seller have come to terms. And let's say you're the buyer and you change your mind. Is that a legal reason to, to just break the contract and get out of buying a house? It's definitely not, and there's lots of consequences if you were to do that. And I'll explain those in a bit. But there are a couple of ways that you can actually get out of the contract legally. Right? The first one is financing. If your financing falls apart or you're not able to obtain a loan, the mortgage, then you can legally back out of the contract. Now, I'm not suggesting you blow up your financing or lose your job or stop your income or do something stupid to blow up your financing, because then you can't buy any house. That doesn't work. Now, of course, if and if the home doesn't appraise for enough that the lender will give you sufficient financing to buy the house, then you can back out. In fact, you might not have a choice at that point, right? If you can't obtain financing. Now, if you're paying cash, these things don't apply, right? If you've got cash, then you can't back out based on financing. The other clause is inspections. There's two types of inspections. There's a home inspection, and our standard purchase agreement says 10 days, but agents have been writing in any number of days in there to have the home of satisfactory condition based on a home inspection. So if you're excuse me. So if you have a home inspection, you find anything about the home within that 10-day period or 5-day period or whatever day period that is, you can legally back out, get your earnest deposit back, and not suffer any other consequences. One of the other things is the well and septic inspection. And believe it or not, even though it passes, it still may give you an opportunity to get out of that binding purchase agreement. If the well and septic, let's say they both pass, however, they don't meet current code or current standard, that may give you some standing to back out, okay? But if not, then again, you're stuck there. The only other contingency that I'm aware of in the purchase agreement that could allow you to back out, legally get your earnest deposit back and remain whole, would be the survey. Now, there's a lot of times, a survey isn't necessary. A survey isn't asked for. A survey isn't, it's not contingent upon, the satisfaction of a survey or anything like that. But sometimes, right, if you're going to be building on something, if you're unsure of the lot lines, it's rare these days, but sometimes a lender will require a survey to know where their easements are, to make sure that nobody else, none of your neighbors are actually, creeping into your space. Make sure you own all the easements and right of ways to your property. Again, that's rare, but it does happen. But a survey, would be the third and really the only other way that I know of to back out of a binding purchase agreement if you're a buyer. Now, what I would like to say is, and I've had this, right? Not for my clients, but it's important that you understand what happens if you don't use one of these things and you just don't show up to closing, or you just change your mind, or a better property comes on the market that you want to buy. All of these things have happened to me over the last 19 years that I have done this job. And a lot of times agents and people think, oh, well, I'm going to lose my earnest deposit, but that's it. And that isn't the case, right? If a seller is taking their home off of the market in good faith based on your offer, it is subject to more than just your earnest deposit. If, let's say, you agree to terms for $500,000 and they pull the home off the market, there may have been other interested parties that all disappeared while you were in a binding contract. And then all of a sudden you change your mind. And the seller says, hey guys, these other parties that were interested, are you still interested? And they've all moved on. All of a sudden, if that house sells for $450,000 instead of the 500 that you agreed to, I am not a lawyer, but I do believe that that backed out buyer would be on the hook for that $50,000 because that is the actual damages that the seller incurred based on that buyer that backed out. So it's really, really, really important that you understand that. Excuse me. So you can share that information with, whoever else is involved in that transaction. And sometimes it's not even your buyer. Sometimes you're representing the seller, and you need to remind that other agent on the other side that, hey, this isn't just a $5,000 earnest deposit you're going to lose, right? You're actually on your buyer that's backing out is actually on the hook for whatever damages my seller incurs. And that's not limited to anything. So I just want you to understand that sometimes that gives you a little bit of leverage to keep that buyer in the game if they understand that there's further consequences. And if it's your buyer, you better know that as well. So anyhow, I hope this helps. Hope this gives you some information that you never have to use, but it's important. Anyhow, I hope you have a great day and do your best to make today awesome.